We need to start trusting our youth a bit more. Leyton Orient are coming into this in incredible. Derby County face Leyton Orient on Saturday in a 6 o'clock kickoff in the FA Cup third round. And it's going to be a disappointing game for Derby County. I already know. I can already sense it. I don't have much confidence heading into this one for one of a few reasons. Ibu Adams is going to be missing with a concussion. Ultimately, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't have played him in this game anyway. I already know that Dejon Brown probably won't be getting an opportunity. We've seen time and time again that Paul Warne doesn't want to give youth that opportunity, and especially not starts. Obviously, Dejon Brown, has he started 2, maybe 3 games this season? Ultimately not amounting to enough minutes in my personal opinion. We're going to be without Erin Cashin, Ryan Niambi and David Ozo as well. Ben Osborne will probably be touch and go. Liam Thompson will probably have an injury. Joe Ward and Corey Blackett-Taylor will probably be injured as well. And ultimately, it's not currently a good look for Derby County if we talk about the season as a whole. We've gone 3 defeats in a row for, I think, the second time this season, which obviously is never good. Obviously, the Championship is much harder than League One, so it was anticipated we would lose games. But ultimately, we've looked very, very poor this season. And if we want to look at Leyton Orient in a little bit more detail, then you can see that they've had a tremendous rise up League One this season. They started really, really poorly. I think they went 4 defeats in a row to start the season and now find themselves just outside the playoffs off the back of 5 wins in a row. So Leyton Orient are coming into this in incredible form. I think it's 9 wins in 10 games for them, which is obviously it's unbelievable. If we go back to look at how these two sides have performed against each other over the course of last season when they faced up against each other in League One, Derby County won both games 3-0. And obviously that's important to note. And it's important to note that Derby County are in the Championship, a league above, so should necessarily have the better team, the better squad, etc. Now, the big thing that I think is going to be a talking point heading into this game is morale, is confidence, is recent performances, because Derby County on the whole have had decent performances in recent weeks, but the last 2 have been very abject and very poor. And when you look at Leyton Orient, 5 wins from their last 5, conceding 3 goals? I think it is. Is it 2, 3 goals? And they were all in one game, I believe, versus Bristol Rovers. It just sparks to me that Derby County are going to face problems in this game. And for me, I do believe that we should rest some of our key players. I do believe that to be what we should do. I do believe that we should have some new players coming through the door, but we probably won't. I also think we probably won't rest our key players, which is a massive problem for Derby County because we don't have a massive squad. We don't have a massive squad of quality. And although we've got 25 players registered, there's probably only about 13, 14 that are probably capable of actually performing on the pitch. And it's a big, big problem for Derby County heading into this one. If we look at Leyton Orient and some of their players, you've got the likes of Kelman up front, you've got Perkins, Jordan Brown, former Derby County Academy graduate, Ethan Galbraith at right back. There's some really, really good players in that team. And obviously, if we go and look at their top goal scorer, it's Kelman. They don't score many goals, do Leyton Orient, only 32 in 24, which I think is identical to Derby County if we were to look at Derby County. But it's one of those for me where they've got quality in their squad and they've got confidence in their squad. And the players are confident in each other. And because they're picking up results, they're going to come into this one thinking that they're going to do a little bit of a giant killing in this game. And do I think that that could happen? Absolutely. And I'm very worried heading into this game. And it's not that I'm worried about that Leyton Orient have more quality than us. It's not sort of that situation like it would be if we was playing against Leeds. But it's certainly a worry where I think Derby County could get caught out in this game and lose to one of the better teams in the division. And obviously that's the League One division, and it is unfortunate, and there is more for Derby County to do across the course of this game. But are we going to be able to do it with the squad we've got? Is Corey Blackett-Taylor going to get an opportunity? Is Joe Ward going to get an opportunity? Dejon Brown? We look at these players that Derby County have available to them that just aren't getting anywhere near opportunities, really. And for me, that's difficult and disappointing because these are players that should be playing. and should be having an impact on the performances week in, week out for Derby County. But Paul Warne doesn't want to give them that chance. And when we head into this game and we look at like the players that we could pick, right? So if we go and look at, say, let's have a look at our backup team, let's say. So you could give Josh Vickers, say we go 4-3-3, because that's what I'd personally do for Derby County. I'd go 4-3-3, and you'd put out, in my opinion, your second team. So you probably keep one of the fullbacks in. So say keep Phillips in, drop Nelson, play Fozzie on the left, put Ward on the right. Where are you, Joe Ward? Midfield 3, Adams isn't going to be available, so who would you put in? You probably chuck in a Liam Thompson. You've got Kenzo in there, and then who else is available? You've got Ben Osborne, who probably won't play. You've got Tawanda Chiwa, who in my opinion should probably head back to Wolves. So you've got a midfield 3 that's going to be Thompson, Kenzo and Chiwa. Maybe Osborne will play, but I'm not sure. Then you've got a front 3. Now, in my opinion, our front 3 should consist of Tom Barkhazen, Dejan Brown and Corey Blackett-Taylor for no other reason than they need to start playing. They need to. If they're not going to play, we need to get rid of them. And I'm not saying we should sell Dejan Brown in the slightest. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think that if we're going to be playing the way we're playing with the high pressing and things like that, then, well, I say high pressing, we don't really press. And when we do, we don't really do it very well. It opens up the pitch, and then we just get absolutely slaughtered through the midfield, and we don't know how to battle against it. And we're a very difficult team, really. And that is in the complete truth and honesty that I can give you. But for me, we've got to give Brown an opportunity. And do you know something? If I'm completely honest with you, why not chuck a Cruz Allen, a Niall McAndrew, Jake Rooney? Why not just play the youngsters? And that isn't me sort of throwing away the FA Cup, because I understand how helpful the money can be. But why not? Why not chuck a couple of them in the squad? Like, in my personal opinion, Barkhazen isn't going to be here next summer. So why not chuck in, say, Niall McAndrew on the right-hand side? Why not chuck in a Cruz Allen for Chiwa, play both of them, chuck Rooney in at centre-half or right-back, and see what happens. Maybe even chuck Rooney in defensive midfield. We've seen him play there before, under Paul Warne and under Liam Rosenior. And I've seen him play there countless times for the 21s when I was at Derby in 22-23, I think it was, when we've had our first season in League One. So why not give these players opportunities to prove that they can fit within a team against their League One standard opposition? Because then you open up a whole host of players who could get into the squad. Like, Jake Rooney wasn't even supposed to be in the team at the weekend. He was the 21st man or something now, because we have 9 subs. And he ended up getting on the bench because Joe Ward picked up an injury, which means Joe Ward probably won't play in this game, but obviously we don't know that for sure right now as I'm recording this video. And there's lots of things for me that need to happen, and we need to start trusting our youth a bit more. Derby County were brilliant at that at certain points, and we seem to have gone away from it because of Paul Warne. And in my opinion, there's a lot wrong with that, because we need to be generating revenue, and we don't have players that have sell-on fees, really, apart from maybe a Blackett-Taylor might sell for a bit. Kane Wilson won't go for anything because I believe he's out of contract in the summer. Thompson's not really worth a great deal. And all the players who really are worth something are your likes of Zetterstrom, Kenzo, who we're obviously not going to look to move on. Blackett-Taylor hasn't been playing, so no one's really going to chuck some money down on him. So we need those younger players to be stepping up to the team so that those Premier League clubs can be looking and sniffing, and ultimately give me £5 million for Dejan Brown with a 10%, 15% sell-on clause. Happy days, take him. Give me 5 million and a 10, 15% sell-on clause for a Cruz Allen and Niall McAndrew. And don't get me wrong, I don't want these players to leave. But if that can help us develop our first team and develop the players that we've already got at the club and the systems we've got going, then absolutely why not? I think a lot of people have the problem with Derby County that when we have these young talents, we hold on to them for too long. I've said it for years. We've always held on to our players for too long. You look at Will Hughes, we had a £15 million offer for him, plus a player from Barcelona and from Liverpool. Well, rumoured offers anyway, that realistically we should have taken when I think he was 16, 17 years old. Right? We ended up selling him for £5 million 5-6 years later down the line. You look at Louis Sibley, we had a £7.5 million bid in from Leeds. He ended up staying. Jason Knight, £8 million from Burnley. I think there was a bid from Brighton as well. He ended up staying. Max Bird, I believe at some point there was a £5 million bid for him. Again, ended up staying. You look at the likes of Festi Ebicelli, you look at Luke Plange, you look at Malcolm Ebiowi, all players who, in my opinion, we didn't get our bang for our buck for, but for different circumstances. You then look at, obviously, what other players? Jeff Hendrick's probably the only one where we've really got a valid amount of money for. I think we picked up 10 million for him when he was sold after coming through the academy. So you look at Jayden Bogle and Max Lowe. Max Lowe at some points had £3-4 million offers in, and realistically I know it's probably down as a £2.5 million deal, but that was just to make the Bogle deal sweeter, to give less money to was it Crewe, Swindon, one of them, and obviously Bogle's the other one. And for me, it's just time and time again, we hold on to these players for too long. And I know we're supposed to be talking about Leyton Orient in this video, and I've kind of gone on a bit of a tangent about players, about squad depth and things like that, because ultimately, we've got some terrific players coming through the academy. We have done for a long time. We've got a lot of players in that academy that are going to be some serious, serious talent. And some of them are getting ever closer to the first team. And I've got nothing wrong with sending them out on loan to the National League and things like that. League 2, League 1, National League North, South, etc. Like Jack Thompson's gone on loan to Alfreton Town. Obviously Lennon Wielden's out on loan at the moment. I believe Dan Cox has just returned from loan. There's another player who's just returned, Ryan Bartley, centre-half, who's just come back as well. And for me, you've got all these players heading back that are academy grads, well, will be academy grads eventually, whether they play for Derby County or another team in the EFL or non-league. And in my opinion, you've just got to give them an opportunity. And I think this game's a perfect chance. I'm not arsed, really, if we win or lose in the FA Cup. I don't really think it makes much difference. We're not going to win the competition. You don't really make a great deal of money out of it anymore. I understand the money can be helpful, but are we going to make a lot out of it? Who knows? So why not fill the bench, play a second team, go literally full second string. Let's find... Where's Jake Rooney? Like, I'll put a picture on the screen while I'm talking through this about like the team I'd play. Why not chuck a Rooney in at right back, go Phillips, Bradley, Fozzie at left back, put Vickers in net, go on midfield 3, let Chiwa play, chuck Cruz Allen in there, Liam Thompson, give Kenzo a rest, then do a front 3 of Blackett, Taylor, Dejon Brown, Niall McAndrew, chuck some youngsters in the team. Why not? Like, what harm is it going to do for Derby County if we chuck those players in? What harm is it really going to do? There's two things that could happen. Well, 3. They could be bang average and not look out of place, which I think is a good thing for a young talent. They could absolutely falter under the pressure, which I personally don't think there'll be a great deal of pressure in an FA Cup third round, but they could like struggle to get up to the tempo, or they could absolutely shock us, put in a really good performance and become a new option for Paul Warne in the first team, which is exactly what we need. So if we just check, I just want to check when Derby County's academy next play. Derby County Academy in Premier League 2. Their next game is on the 7th of January, which is in... Well, it'll have been played when you're seeing this video, because this will be coming out on Wednesday the 8th. So, for me, why not? National League Cup versus Woking away on the 7th of Jan is the next academy game. Then they play on Friday the 10th. You could probably see why you don't take too many out of that, because they're facing up against Tottenham at home. But there's no reason why they couldn't play and then sit on the bench on the Saturday. Obviously, it'll be an interesting one with travel and things like that. But for me, get a Jake Rooney in and around it. Get a Niall McAndrew in and around it. Get... who else could you get in there? I think Lennon Wildon's out on loan. Get a Dan Cox on the bench. Why not? Fuck it. So that would be my personal opinion. I'll chuck some photos up on screen, some names for you of players who I think should step into the fray for the first team heading into this game, because there is some who, in my opinion, may be able to make a difference for Derby County. We've obviously seen Freddie Turley step up to the bench already earlier this season. Now, let me know your score predictions down in the comments. Let me know your team predictions down there as well. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, hit the like button as well, and I'll catch you in my next video.